Okay, I'm going to go for it. You've just watched the previous video. I know you have. And now I'm going to move on to Revelation 12. Um, things just keep getting it more interesting and more interesting. I can't abandon it where I just did. So I'm going to move on. This is Revelation 12, and this is the mother, the child, the dragon, and war. This is kind of like a summation of the history of Israel, and then we get into kind of like future for Israel as well. So this is kind of like a 100,000 foot view of Israel and what's happening. Okay, the mother, the child, the dragon, and the war. So the mother is Israel, the child is Jesus, the dragon is Satan, and there's a war between them. I'm going to clarify one thing. Satan is not the opposite of God. God has ultimate control over everything, total control. Jesus has total control. He's already overcome evil, already overcome death, already overcome Satan. Done. Deal. Dusted. Satan is nothing in compared to God. They are not. He's not a worthy opponent of God. We got to get that idea out of our head. He is already judged. He's going to be thrown in the lake of fire in the end of the book. Well, I know the end of the book. I've already read it. So you got to stop viewing this character. Stop giving in a way a kind of reverence as a worthy opponent to God. No, he's not. Okay. All right. So let's move on. We'll show you how. A great sign appeared in heaven: a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head had a crown of 12 stars. So the 12 stars is the 12 tribes of Israel. She is pregnant, crying out in birth pains, in agony to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven: a great fiery dragon, red dragon, that had 7 heads and 10 horns. The 7 royal crowns on his head. His tail sweeps away a third of the stars of heaven. It hurled them to the earth. So this kind of speaks to the idea of a third of heaven rebelled against God when Satan rebelled. He was the leader of. You can kind of glean from Isaiah and from Ezekiel that Satan was the worship leader in heaven. Hence the reason he works through music so much. So his tail sweeps away a third of the stars of heaven and hurls them to the earth. Now, the stars of heaven was kind of like the angels in heaven. Now the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that whenever she gave birth, he might devour her child. And there's so many stories in the scriptures about a character killing Hebrew babies. So there was the Pharaoh killed the Hebrew babies trying to kill Moses, and there was Herod who killed all the babies under 2 years old in Bethlehem trying to kill Jesus. So, and then throughout history, then there was all the persecution of the Jews over and over and over again. So these antichrist figures were coming in trying to basically wipe out the Jewish nation. Because if you can wipe out the Jewish nation, then you've gotten rid of salvation, because salvation is of the Jews, as they say. Satan wants to prove God wrong, that these are not your blessed people. These are not your chosen people, because I've just killed them all. That's basically what he's trying to do through Hitler, through Stalin, through all of them, through all the persecutors of the Jews. This is what he tried to do. And there's no difference here. I mean, Herod was out to get Jesus the second he was born, and then Jesus had to be rushed down to Egypt to get away from the long arm of Herod, I suppose. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who is to rule all the nations with an iron rod. So iron rod is a symbol of perfect justice, and that's through the 1,000-year, the Millennium Kingdom. Jesus is going to rule on earth with his saints with an iron rod. and her child was snatched away to God and to his throne. Her child was snatched away to God. He went up in a cloud, snatched away. Harpazo, rapture you might call it. Then a woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God so that they might take care of her for 1260 days. Again, this is the kind of a 1260-day period when we read about it previously, when the holy city is going to be trampled on for 1260 days, for 42 months. And this 1260 days seems to kind of correspond to that, where the Jews of the holy city of Jerusalem, have fled out of there, and they're being cared for by God in the wilderness again. So as he took care of them in the wilderness before, there's like so many pictures of the Exodus here. And war broke out in heaven, Michael and his angels making war against the dragon. The dragon and his angels fought, but they were not strong enough, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. Whew. And the great dragon was thrown down, the ancient. Oh, I will go on here. The ancient serpent, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was thrown down to earth. He was thrown down, and his angels were thrown down with him. This is kind of like a picture of the war in heaven. Satan rebelled. He took a third of the angels with him, cast down to earth. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, "Now have come the salvation, and the power, and the kingdom of our God, and the authority of his anointed one. For the accuser of our brothers and sisters, the one who accuses them before God all day and night, has been thrown out." So Satan is the accuser. He's like standing up there, and he's, look at him, look what he did there. You can't have mercy on him now. He's done that, or he's done this. So he's thrown out of heaven. God listens no more. They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. They did not love their lives even in the face of death. So there's obviously a picture of martyrs happening on earth. They did not love their lives even in the face of death. And if you want to know how to overcome Satan in your life, they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. By the blood of the Lamb and by the word of your testimony. That's how you overcome Satan in your life. You pray to be washed in the blood of the Lamb, and you give your testimony. That's what I'm doing here. Even in the face of death. Therefore, rejoice, O heavens, and you who dwell in them. This is a picture of people who dwell in heaven again. There's the earth dwellers and those who dwell in heaven. Woe to the earth and to the sea, for the devil has come down to you with great rage, knowing that his time is short. Yeah, time's short. You've got 7 years, man. Now, when the dragon saw that he had been thrown down to earth, he stalked the woman who had given birth to the male child. So, interesting here. Here's a picture of the time immemorial, the persecution of the Jews across the centuries, across the millennia. Satan's always after them, and he's after them in order to wipe them out. That's why so many Holocausts have happened. The pogroms in Russia, the Holocaust in Germany, and throughout Europe, basically. And it's coming again. So he stalked the woman. So he's always stalking Israel, that had given birth to the male child, because Israel birthed salvation, Yeshua. But the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, so that she might fly away from the presence of the serpent into the wilderness, to the place where she is taken care of for a time, times, and half a time. Here we get a kind of like hearkening back to Exodus, where God said that he took them out of Egypt on eagle's wings. So God ushered them out basically on eagle's wings. So this is again, it's talking about that time for 3.5 years, where the Jews, the believing Jews, are going to be protected in the wilderness again by God. And why do I know it's for 3.5 years? Is because it's for a time, times, and half a time, 3.5. And from out of his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river after the woman, in order to overcome her, obviously. Now, I don't know what this is going to be, but obviously if you're there, let me know. In order to sweep her away with a flood. But the earth came to the aid of the woman. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed the river and the dragon, and spewed from his mouth, or swallowed the river that the dragon had spewed from his mouth. Now here's an awesome picture. So the dragon became enraged at the woman and went off to make war with the rest of her offspring. So who's the offspring of the woman? The rest of her offspring. So the male child is, the woman is Israel, the male child is Jesus, and the rest of Israel's offspring is the church, or is the believers, or the rest. They're the second covenant. Man, they all, like children of Abraham, they all come out of like the story of the Jews, basically. So those who keep the commandments of God and hold to the testimony of Yeshua, of Jesus. And he stood on the shore of the sea. So it's interesting how it stands. He's basically right. He said, right, I can't touch the Jews now because they're being protected by God in the wilderness. I can't do anything to them. So now he's going to turn his face and he's going to come after the believing nations now, those who hold to the testimony of Yeshua. So he stood on the shore of the sea. The sea is always a picture of the nations. The beast rises out of the sea. The sea is the nations. So he stood on the shores of the sea. So he's ready to come against those now. So, interesting. So that's the end of Revelation 12 there, and you move on to Revelation 13, and these are the two beasts. That this has all been leading up to these beasts. Then I saw a beast rising out of the sea. So Revelation 12 ends with Satan standing on the shore of the sea, and then you saw a beast rising out of the sea. So there's a beast that comes out of the nations. Satan, obviously, this is where he chooses, or he goes in and he gets his Antichrist, or he indwells his Antichrist. And this is like the last gasp effort on planet Earth of Satan or before the kingdom arrives. This is his last attack on the church, or not, let's say, on the believers and on Jesus. So we've finished Revelation 12. We've done 9, 10, 11, 12, 4 videos today. Not bad. If you haven't watched them, go back and watch them. I hope you like them. This is my take on them. May the Lord bless you with it. I hope it's been a blessing to you. And I hope, what have I written down there? Yeah, sorry. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. God bless, and we'll see you on the next one.